Welcome to Women Speakers Association's WSA TV. I'm Laura Rubenstein, your producer. We are talking about from fear. A lot of people are in fear today, and not just now, but that's kind of a state when you're an entrepreneur to be in, especially, or you want to take the leap to being an entrepreneur, or you're wondering where your next dollar is going to come from. You may be in a financial situation that's not so happy, or just in fear emotionally in general, but you really want to go to the next level. You want to get out of that. You want to break through, bust through, get to that fortune, feel more fortunate. In fact, we've got the experts here today who are going to walk us through this step by step, and I want to introduce you to them right now. Please help me welcome and let's say hello to our first guest, Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hi, I'm Terry Holland. I'm a trainer of NLP and high performance coach. I'm here from beautiful Vancouver, Canada, and you can find me at terryholland.ca.
Awesome. And hi, JJ.
Hi, I'm JJ Conway, financial planner, speaker, and coach. I'm based in Shreveport, Louisiana, and you can find me on the web at buildingwealthtogether.com.
Awesome. So, as you can already hear, our experts have some really high training and value to offer you. So, let's go to Terry. And Terry, I want to ask you, what is it that people can do from a state of, from shifting from a state of fear to get to that state where they feel like they can create an abundant and compelling future?
Great. Yeah, one of the tools I use with my clients is intentional visualization. So often when we're coming from fear, it's that we're focused on what we don't want. And this is one way you can shift to focus on what you do actually want. You have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the goal setter and your unconscious mind is the goal getter. And one way that you can connect with your unconscious mind and really focus on what you want at that deep unconscious level is visualization. But the key to visualization is to see yourself in the picture as clearly as you can with as much detail as possible. So really see it, hear what it would sound like, and feel the feeling that you will get when you have it just the way you want it. And that helps you create a compelling future.
That's awesome. So when I see it and I really feel it, I mean, I think that's the real big distinction there. Then what can I expect to happen next?
Well, the next thing that happens, if you do this consistently over time, what you'll start to see is that your behavior will start to change to line up with what it is that you want. See, all behavior is unconscious, and yet we try to control it consciously, but it's unconscious. Using visualization, you're directing your unconscious mind towards what you want. So now it has to create the steps in order for you to get there. And then your only job is to take action as it comes up.
I love how you just unpacked visualization because so many people have told us to do it, but they haven't said why or what it does. But really, what it does is it programs that subconscious mind so that your behaviors are in alignment with getting what you're doing. So if you're wondering why you're not doing the things that get you where you want to go, it's that subconscious. And that's what we want to train with the visualization. Boom. Thank you so much. Great advice. So, JJ, let's talk about creating this compelling future and going from fear to a fortune. What advice do you have?
Just like Terry said, it all begins with intentionality. It begins with really setting your intention about where do you want your financial picture to be in 6 months, a year, 5 years from now. So that's where I have everyone start off. And when we try to look at how to move forward from fear to fortune, a lot of us are so stuck in fear that just the thought of a check engine light coming on reduces us to anxiety and depression. And so by taking simple steps, we can visualize our future and then we can move forward. So, two of those simple steps, of course, I have many more, but I'm not at liberty to discuss them all today. But two of those simple steps would be after visualizing, like Terry said, would be to create what I call a reverse spend plan, which allows you to look back at what you've done. Too often we try to pretend that we didn't do, or that we didn't think, or that we didn't express our money and our finance and our energy the way that we actually did. But by looking back, it's there in black and white. And then I always ask people to move forward. Now we've seen where we are, we know where we want to go. Let's take that first step with a next month spend plan. And it took me a couple of months or maybe years to get that right, but eventually you will get it right and you will move from fear to fortune.
So what do you mean by getting it right? What are some tips to get it right?
Well, as a military veteran, we have a phrase that says no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And I have certainly found that to be the case when creating a spend plan. I have every good intention of saving 200, 500, $1,000 next month, but my child's birthday pops up and this trip pops up and this happens and that happens and the tire needs replacing. And so we have to be gentle and gracious and flexible with ourselves to understand that we plan the best we can, but we allow room for grace.
And being compassionate with yourself, I'm imagining too, yes?
Yes.
So when we visualize and we take what Terry's taught us through her NLP technique there, we unpack it, we get our subconscious ready to take the right actions. And JJ, you're telling us to put the plan in place that allows us to know what actions those are. We're unstoppable. I mean, the two of you are an unstoppable team together. I love this. So, in going from fear to fortune. So, let's learn a little bit more about each of you and what is your expertise? Tell us about who you work with and what you do for them. Terry, why don't you unmute and tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. I work with high performers, executives, and I really help them move from where they are to where they want to be in their business in a short period of time so that they can create the business and lifestyle that they want.
Right. And how did you come to this work?
Well, it wasn't something I ever thought I'd be doing. My life basically fell apart, and I think that's how a lot of us end up finding our purpose is things fall apart. So in the business that I had previously, I completely burnt out, and I kept trying and trying to make that work. And one day my doctor said to me, she said, "You're done. You can no longer work the hours that you work. You can no longer push yourself this hard." And essentially my adrenal system was failing. So she said I could work 3 days a week, 4 hours a day on those 3 days, and I wasn't allowed to do anything else. And in fact, she said that when I'm not working, I'm going to practice aggressive rest, which kind of caught me off guard because I thought, what is aggressive rest? And she said, you are going to do nothing. You're going to read books, you're going to watch movies, and you're going to do nothing else until you recover. So in that
Wow.
instant, I lost my financial capability. I was no longer able to earn the money I was used to. I lost my business. I lost my personal identity because I really identified with my business at the time. And so I thought, well, if I can't do this, who am I and what is my purpose now? So I hired a coach and he helped me move out of anxiety and depression. He helped me rebuild my self-worth and self-esteem. And he introduced me to NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, which is what I use with my clients now. So I never thought that I would be doing this, but a twist of fate and life threw me a curveball, and I ended up finding my passion and my purpose through those circumstances.
And you started out as what now before this? Where were you all stressed out?
I was a personal trainer and sports nutritionist, so I was taking care of everyone else's bodies and neglecting my own in the process.
It's so important, and that's a great message to remember self-care, especially during stressful times. And I love that term, aggressive sleep or aggressive rest. That's really cool. Thank you so much for the good work you do and the people you help, and now by modeling being that stress managed. I don't know what you want to call that, but great job. And JJ, tell us about who you work with and what you do with them.
I primarily work with professionals who feel like they've been working too hard and not having enough money. We will chart out a path for them to dump debt, build wealth, and leave a legacy for future generations.
Lovely. So how did you come to this work?
Well, I kind of fell into it by accident. As a military member, I returned home from a 6-month trip to find my house sold and my belongings thrown away. And all of a sudden, divorce papers were signed, and I found myself a military single mom with over $845,000 of debt. I had to hustle and scramble and lean upon a few friends to make my way through all that debt and begin building my future. And so that's what I teach people today. If I could get out of all that debt, you can do anything.
Absolutely. And what was the journey of getting out of debt like?
It's not as glamorous as it may sound. I get a lot of people who hope that I will give them some exotic, easy button to push. The principles of getting out of debt and building a fortune really are very simple, but they're not necessarily easy. There's a lot that pulls at us. But sometimes it's not just about managing your money and controlling and budgeting and spending. Sometimes it's about giving yourself the permission to break free from poverty mindset. One of my very first clients was someone who had a very high net worth, but she felt very anxious about the possibility of buying her final home, or her home to enjoy in retirement, let's say it that way. And I worked with the numbers through her and gave her the permission to spend what was a tiny piece of her net worth on what was the dream home. And sometimes giving people that permission to enjoy the fruit of your labor, that also is a part of how I help people move from fear to fortune.
That's great. Wow, both of you are just wisdom, uh, wealth of wisdom for us, for our women here, Women Speakers Association. This is what we do. We bring women together who are supporting each other, who are here with the tools and the techniques and the skills sets that can help you, catapult you. And we are about getting your message out. So if you have a message and you want to share it, please um, go to and get our plan at speakersuccessplan.com, and we'll get you on the path to that. And in the meantime, I want to hear from you, Terry and JJ, about what is the value of Women Speakers Association that you've already had so far. Terry, you want to go first?
Sure. For me, it's really about connecting with new opportunities and learning how to market myself effectively as a professional speaker.
And wonderful. We have so many resources for that, and I'm glad you're taking advantage of that. And JJ, what's the value of Women Speakers Association you've received?
I have received so much value from Women Speaker Association. I have a big heart and I want to help everybody to do everything. And Women Speaker Association helped me to hone down my message so that I could have the highest impact with the talents and gifts that I've received.
It's great. And you were recently in the best-selling book, right? One of our
Yes.
voices of the 21st century. And so that's another part of Women Speakers Association. We help get your message out through books and help you become a bestseller and refine your messaging with the training and the tools and the resources here. In fact, in the private group, you'll notice that a lot of support happens in the premier group. So if you're interested, go to speakersuccessplan.com, download your roadmap for speaker success, and come join us on as a premier member. So we are doing these episodes every week. Next week, we'll be back with the preview of the speaker success training that is happening next month in June on digital marketing and getting your message out as a speaker online. So you don't want to miss next week's episode of WSA TV, Women's Premier Show. Thank you so much to Terry and JJ. We'll be back with you next week. Bye for now.
Hi.